Okay, so we are going to look at balancing equations. But before we do that, let's start just to review about kind of when we start with nomenclature and when we write out with chemicals, kind of what those mean. So as an example, let's start with sodium phosphate. Sodium phosphate. So, if we write this out, we have sodium, which is Na, which we know sodium has a +1 charge, and phosphate, which is PO4 with a -3 charge. So to get those to balance out, we have this 3 here with sodium, and then the PO4 just stays as it is. So Na3PO4 is sodium phosphate. So looking at this simpler version, but how many of each do we have? So this number here, remember if there's a number down, kind of down to the bottom and to the right, that tells us how many of whatever is to its left that we have. So this tells us that we have, if we write it out this way, that we've got 3 of these, which are sodium. So we've got Na, 3. Phosphate, P, we only have 1 of those because this 4 only applies to the O. It doesn't apply to the P. So we've got P equals to 1, and then this 4 applies to the oxygen. So we have 3 sodium, 1 phosphorus atom, and 4 oxygen atoms. So let's look at, let's try something different, just so we can see. Calcium carbonate. So calcium carbonate. Calcium, Ca, carbonate, CO3. Calcium has a +2, carbonate has a -2. So this one's actually fairly straightforward, CaCO3. And if we did this one the same way, we would look here and we've got Ca1, carbon, just 1, and oxygen, 3, because this 3 only pertains to that. So oxygen equals 3. Alright, so we'll try one more. We'll try something just a little bit different now. What if we had calcium bicarbonate? Well, calcium is still Ca, bicarbonate, HCO3. But if we remember, calcium +2, bicarbonate only has a -1. So, in order to get our charges to balance out, we need 2 of these to match up with the +2 charge there. So the way we do that, parentheses 2. And so here, this 2 applies to, because we've got a parentheses here, this 2 applies to everything in the parentheses. So, calcium, we've only got one. So we'll just write out the other things we have. So we know we've got an H, we've got a C, and we've got an oxygen. So here, there's one H, but it's inside the parentheses. So outside we have a 2, so we have to multiply this 2 times this 1. So that just gives us 2. Same thing for this carbon. 2, because there's only one here, but it's inside the parentheses, and outside we have a 2. And finally, for oxygen, we've got 3 on the inside, but we've got 2 of those. So 2 times 3 gives us 6. So very brief, just to review, writing out whatever number we have down here to the bottom right, that tells us how many we have here kind of to the left here. So Na3 means 3 sodiums. And so, in this case, with bicarbonate, with the parentheses, anything that's outside of the parentheses applies to everything inside the parentheses.